Today I will talk to you about Kristjan Golubović. We will continue with this. The assignment that Jimmy Carter, among others, he knew about the Kristjan Golubović and he did not like one, gave me was he asked me to destroy Balkan Mafia, literally. He didn't like him. He didn't like Balkan Mafia. And he told me to go after them and destroy them. He knew about everything. American CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, Federal Bureau Investigation knew absolutely everything about Kristjan Golubović. They knew about everything about the Serbian mafia underground, everything about what they do involved in executions, killing of the people, robberies, hijackings. I must say, however, it was a Federal Bureau investigation executive, and I have to see which one of them was. Director, possibly, who approached me afterwards to death threaten me with attempt to go after the Serbian mafia. Well, the Serbian mafia crossed the line. Once I posted this post here about the Kristjan Golubović, as I returned to my father for a visit, as I do every day, my father, contrary to usual, he was very sober, he was very intelligent, he knew everything about it. And he also clearly, I'm going to post the video about that, knew about the Kristjan Golubović, his involvement in MKUltra. How would he not know about the Kristjan Golubović? Let me ask you. How not? Father is stay at the home for elderly people in the room 203 became extremely unpleasant for one once Golubović with some other gangsters from Belgrade entered the room where my father was at home for elderly people. Now let me explain you how that happened. This is a Slovenian Prime Minister Robert Golob, who, he did this in front of me. To one, he didn't know how to send the message to Belgrade to, I guess, not bother with the father. Kristjan Golubović frequently visited the city of the Novo Mesto, death threatened in area of my house, with a neighbor, Metod Jerman, that's an investigator, previously employed as an investigator. He crossed the line. He invited me to his home. He invited me to his family now. And I'm the kind of person, I don't like to say no when I'm invited. He death threatened in the area of home for elderly people. He was staying at Nadmlini, at somebody's place, where I was also, where they had me. He contemplated, according to one, on how he will get to kill me. Met quite a few people here in Slovenia and began to choose, according to Golubović, as per whom he will go through to get to me. This is what he daydreamed about. It was all kinds of stuff about how they planted guns and that the guns are waiting for them and da 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 da. Now, let's go back to my father. This individual here, Slovenian Prime Minister, who with the Slovenian police, with the Tanja Fajon, with the Milan Kučan, with Borut Pahor on a frequent basis, were meeting with Serbian Aleksandar Vučić, with a Serbian mafia such as Kristjan Golubović, underground of the Serbian mafia, mobsters, gangsters, came up with idea to appeal himself to me by what he said is going to be inviting Kristjan Golubović at home for elderly people, where a police would storm the room where Golubović would be in. Now the thing about it is that they do the stuff like this according to Robert Golob, so he would send the signal to the Belgrade not to fuck with my father, as he said, Robert Golob stated, but that they would have a free hands to fuck with me. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I like that. I prefer you to fuck with me than with my father. In fact, I like you so much that I will arrange the meeting between you and me, just as I stated in a previous video. So Kristjan Golubović entered the room, if I find one of these videos here, where my father was. And where also I was delivered to, right? So, it was not intimidation. It was a sort of death threat, atop of death threat, atop of death threat. And I don't know how, but he was about to leave the room. Somebody signaled something and they were about to leave the room, where police, Slovenian police, started to slowly enter the room. They suggested that they would have a permanent stationary, I don't know, inside of the home for elderly people or in an area of the home for elderly people, but this is the type of stuff they were playing with. I don't think to make impression on Golubović, but they definitely were trying to make impression on me, there's no doubt. And they made impression, strong impression on my father, who now is scared consequently. He is scared simply because of this post here. This guy appeared also in our home inside. This is a really violent individual. Not because of Kristjan Golubović, but because of the people inside of the home for elderly people who go on to intimidate him. The very next day, as I stated, as I visited my father, was, excuse me, that was yesterday, which was the 29th. It was yesterday. Father was in good spirits. Everything was in good spirits. And then the guy, a nurse, entered who was really, really, really loud. I am going to work on some videos now for the new year in respect to my father. There was a lot of stuff that just doesn't go the way it's supposed to with my father at home for elderly people. And so I will increase a little bit attention to my father, because I'm not completely happy about what goes on. I do have a few complaints to clear. The father was completely sober, very positive, fine. We were doing also exercise and so on. He knew exactly who Gregor Golubović, who Kristjan Golubović is. I don't have to mention him one. It's people that talk to him, obviously. And then it was like Today also when I met him, he was not in a mood to talk about anything. He was very serious and he wants to get out. He's very motivated to get out of there. Doesn't like to stay there. He works with me. He cooperates with me. We do exercise. It improved enormously in that sense. I hope we'll get father at home as soon as possible. But when it comes to Kristjan Golubović, actually a Serbian underground gangsters mafia, I was also warned about by Italian mafia. They were doing some business with Italian mafia who also signaled me to be very careful with the Serbian mafia and so on, and they would even carry out the job, according to whoever was talking to me in Italy, in front of this Kristjan Golubović. This gangster, Kristjan Golubović, was involved in a whole lot of stuff. Since he was a child, since him and I were a child, I was 2 years younger than he was. This is always a really big child. This one here, I saw this. These are some kind of pilots here. This one here just looked like his father used to look like, more or less. Something similar to it, with mustaches, let's just say. Both of these pilots were involved in MK Ultra, by the way. Kristjan Golubović and father, what I can tell you, I don't know, I had a feeling that his father, Serboljub is his name, and I never Googled his picture on the internet. His father was much lighter, just like I demonstrated, and mom was, that I have seen on the internet, darker complexion. His father, it appeared to me like it was a worker on a rail or something like this. He would get up early in the morning and he would head right through the garden, go right straight. He had a garden up front, in front of the house, and he would go. He would just disappear. He also was a robber, a gangster. This is whom Kristjan Golubović learned business when Yugoslav Serbian UDBA, with the full permission and knowledge of the German government, had delivered me to the Germany. They were using me for this kind of operation to keep the immunity, diplomatic immunity. This was a case that if you had me with you, you were granted all sorts of immunities from what would be otherwise persecution. Kristjan Golubović and his father Serboljub Golubović literally met with the German police in front of me. Otherwise, if it wasn't for me, these people would be cleaned out from the street by the German police long time ago through this diplomatic immunity. The same like a Vojislav Šešelj, they got another ticket to Serbia. But they didn't come down. When Kristjan Golubović was a child, I was a child, he was a child. I don't know, maybe I was 5 years old, he was maybe 7 years old. Maybe I was younger than that. His father was really crazy person. Outside of the house, this was a gangster. Inside of the house, at home, it appeared to me like he was the best father. No, seriously, this was like I had very strange stuff, very crazy stuff. Like he was a very family oriented person. But outside of the house in Germany, he was looking for the people to rob. He was targeting, literally stalking people to learn about people, about the people's lives before the robberies would take place, or would take the information from certain informants he was using about, he would using literally children to stalk workers, people, learn about their environment, homes, where they live, what they have inside, and then it would be a robbery time. VCR, watches, jewelry, whatever would be, TV, whatever would be, everything would be fucking clean up. Time for the cleanup, where they would get a certain victim, that would be it. They would rob one. And so it was not even unusual that the Germans learned about this stuff, I remember, and would start to meet me. I remember some blonde guy, German guy, came out of fucking nowhere to talk to me about, and I had no fucking idea what he's talking about. He was from some apartment building, and he told me that he knows all about the business, about the robbery. And I had no fucking idea what this guy was talking to me about. It was all kinds of stuff. The German people started to death threaten me at one point. I learned that Kristjan started to, there was some other kids, older kids. I thought that those are brothers from Kristjan, and it appeared that those are just friends or whatever. And I thought that he has an older brother, but those appear to work for the father, kids, older kids. Like he was, let's say, I was 5, he was like 7, and that other kid would be like 9, and there would be some other kid that would be also like 12 and so on. And this is how it would go. I would be 7, he was 9, still the same shit basically. Or how old is it? 2 years or 3 years, 2 years, whatever. At one point, they started to compete about the stealing people's property. And at one point, when I was like, I don't know, actually this started even earlier. I was even younger. I know I was even younger because I was really, really, really young when I got an idea that actually I would also spring into the action and rob somebody under MK Ultra. That's how insane this shit is. I don't know. This father from Kristjan Golubović, he just has some kind of magic power on me. I don't know. He was like, it make you feel like you're an adult, like recognize you and stuff. And so I got an idea that it's time for me to go rob somebody. And I don't know, Kristjan was like, hey, what are you gonna this and this and that? You know, I was like, shut up, you know, what the fuck? I mean, you know, I was ready to take on bigger kids than myself, I mean, and prove myself, literally, I mean. They would not allow me to rob anybody. But this is what the family was doing. A Josip Broz Tito who had people deliver me to Germany, on the other hand, was collecting from Serboljub all kinds of expensive shit from whatever the hell they had. You know, whatever there was a capacity to steal, it's what headed to Yugoslavia. VCRs, all kinds of shit, anything. But what is interesting to note is Josip Broz Tito had personal requests. Josip Broz Tito really was a gangster. And I know this because of Serboljub Golubović. He literally would order what kind of items does he look for, that he had people in Belgrade searching for certain items, and that's exactly how they would do it. It would be simply, I became like a source for for like unlimited theft, basically, in Germany. Serbs literally developed like direct autobahn to just steal from stuff from Germany and straight to Serbia. And really, there was a big fucking. They got them. They got this. They got the Serboljub. They got the Kristjan. They got all these gangs. They got this gang, this little gang. They got them, and it was entire this neighborhood where they lived involved in it with the victims. And this fucking German victims started to blame me. I became fucking guilty. This was truly a snake. Since he was little, he learned everything from father. The torture commenced, in which, as insane as it might sound, this was like this, that they were like, I had a family in Germany when it comes to these people, but this was very, very short-lived. This was maybe for 2 years that they treated me like child as I was. But as I was growing up, they became really rough. And what is crazy about this stuff, they made me want to rob people under MK Ultra, literally. And once they made me rob people under MK Ultra, they started to use me to tell them who to go rob. They literally took me to the streets and had me observe people that they were friends with, or maybe they robbed them with, or whatever the fuck went on. It's very difficult to even tell about this, but this is how they cleared the trace about the stuff they did. And this was at the later age, when I was already maybe 13, 14 years of age, maybe 12 years of age. Just maybe about the time when they moved to Belgrade or something like this. And so, guess what happened? They got him, and that's how they moved from Germany to Belgrade. Funny, because Serboljub always claimed that he could not go to Serbia. It looked like he didn't look to me. He didn't look to me only. He was making impression on police officer, on UDBA people, KGB people that lured me from Yugoslavia, from Slovenia to Germany. They were sure that this guy was actually a Chetnik, because he acted in such a profound way that he is afraid of a regime in Yugoslavia, of Josip Broz Tito, that they were actually asking him if he does have some connection to the Chetniks or something like that. If he is not maybe one of the people who escaped after the World War II, that he was maybe from the family that he escaped to Germany. Quite contrary to this issue, Serboljub was a partisan national resistance KGB individual, it became clear, but could not disclose this in Germany because he also was a hitman. He also killed people. And when the kill order came, that's when the big money was. It was bigger paid than jewelry, than TVs, VCRs, and all other shit. This was a big one. That's what he called a big one. A Serboljub Golubović. Now, Golubović took me in Belgrade to his apartment. He flashed with his wealth around. He flashed a lot. He tortured me together with his wife inside of his house when he had a house. And then he got himself an apartment and he lived literally high life, good life. Then he also took me to the Serboljub, his father, where obviously his mom was, and I think maybe, I don't know, even a sister at the time was. And this is an older building, not a modern, not new, like from Kristjan Golubović, where he had me in one. I'm talking about the apartment building, but still it's a high-rise building. You go very high up, and in the apartment it's an old-fashioned way where the Serboljub is, but it's very high up, some kind of high-rise, you know? Just in case, you know, if you think about whether this guy crossed my paths. Do not think about, because what I'm saying is exactly what it is. Thanks for watching this video. Till next time.